Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Dirty gold. It is flowing freely through fake branded bars. That's right, fake bars made of real gold. Let's explore. Several members of the community sent me various different links. Essentially, all go back to Reuters. This is fake branded bars slip dirty gold into world markets. You know, my subscribers are amazing. I probably would have found this eventually, but, some of my viewers are really on top of it and send me some things. And for those of you who do send me, I may not respond to every single one, but I very much appreciate sending the information my way for sure. But this is quite interesting indeed. Chalk this up in the precious metals crime market for sure. This will be in the playlist. A forgery crisis is quietly roiling in the world's gold industry. Gold bars fraudulently stamped with the logos of major refineries are being inserted into the global market to launder smuggled or illegal gold, refining and banking executives tell Reuters. The fakes are hard to detect, making them an ideal fund runner for narcotics dealers or warlords. In the past 3 years, bars worth at least $50 million stamped with the Swiss refinery logos, but not actually produced by those facilities, have been identified by all 4 of Switzerland's leading gold refiners and found in the vault of J.P. Morgan Chase & Company, one of the major banks at the heart of the market in bullion, said senior executives at gold refineries, banks, and other industry sources. 4 of the executives said that at least 1,000 of the bars of a standard size known as a kilo bar for their weight have been found. For those of you who don't know, a kilo is 32.15 troy ounces. That is a small share of output from the gold industry, which produces roughly 2 million to 2.5 million such bars each year. But the forgeries are sophisticated, so thousands more may have gone undetected, according to the head of Switzerland's biggest refinery. The latest fake bars are highly professionally done, said Michael Miserik, the chief executive of refinery Valcambi. He said maybe a couple of thousand have been found, but the likelihood is that there are way, way, way more still in circulation. And it still exists and it still works. Fake gold bars, blocks of cheaper metal plated with gold, are relatively common in the gold industry and often easy to detect. The counterfeits in these cases are more subtle. The gold is real and of very high purity, with only the markings faked. Faked branded bars are a relatively new way to flout global measures to block conflict minerals and prevent money laundering. Such forgeries pose a problem for international refiners, financiers, and regulators as they attempt to purge the world of illicit trade in bullion. High gold prices have triggered a boom in informal and illegal mining since the mid-2000s. Without the stamp of a prestigious refinery, such gold would be forced into underground networks or priced at a discount. I'll stop there. You may remember of note, Republic Metals got caught along with others in a ring that was through the port of Miami with gold that was being produced illegally and unethically in South America. That has since stopped, but still things like this continue through this manner of form. By pirating Swiss and other major brands, metal that has been mined or processed in places that would not otherwise be legal or acceptable in the West, for example in parts of Africa, Venezuela, or North Korea, can be injected into the market, channeling funds to criminals or regimes that are sanctioned. It is not clear who is making the bars found so far, but executives and bankers told Reuters they think most originate in China. Big surprise! They're the world's largest gold producer and importer, and have entered the market via dealers and trading houses in Hong Kong, Japan, and Thailand. Once accepted by a mainstream gold dealer in these places, they can quickly spread into supply chains worldwide. Word of the forged bars began to circulate quietly in gold industry circles after the first half of 2017, when JP Morgan, one of 5 banks which finalized trades in the $10 trillion a year London gold market, found that its vaults contained at least 2 gold kilobars stamped with the same identical number. 10 people familiar with the matter told Reuters. Reuters couldn't determine exactly where the vaults were. Interesting. J.P. Morgan declined to directly address questions about the fraudulent bullion or comment on any of the details in the story. It's our standard practice to immediately alert the appropriate authorities and refineries should we discover mismarked gold kilobars during routine checks and procedures, the bank said in a statement. Fortunately, we have yet to have an incident resulting in a loss to the firm or a client. The Shanghai Gold Exchange, which regulates China's gold market, said in a statement it was not aware of counterfeiting bars being made or transported through China. Well, of course, they're going to say that. The Shanghai Gold Exchange has established a thorough delivery and storage system. The process for gold material to enter the warehouse is strictly managed and in compliance with the regulations, it said. When others who store and trade such gold found forged bars, they returned them to the refiner concerned, some of whom have operations in Asia. Bars returned to Switzerland have been reported by refiners to the Swiss authorities who impounded them, refiners said. Swiss Customs said 655 forged bars were reported in 2017 and 2018 to local prosecutors in Ticino, a region bordering Italy that contains 3 of Switzerland's 4 large refineries. In all cases, the marking of the 1 kilogram bars were fake, a customs official said by email without commenting further. To give you a better idea of a timeline, a lot of this stuff happening with the gold, that dirty gold that came out, or something called blood gold that came out through the port of Miami that Republic Metals was involved in, that happened in 2014, 2015, and continued on through 2016. This may be something happening on the other hemisphere there, and it's in 2007 and 2018. Continuing on, the public prosecutor in Ticino confirmed it had received 3 reports of gold bars with suspect serial numbers, but said it could not disclose more information. The police in Neuchâtel, where Switzerland's other large refinery is located, said neither it nor local prosecutors there had received reports of any forged bars. Switzerland's Attorney General said its office was not concerned with the topic at present. I guess because they figured, well, it's real gold, it's real gold. Switzerland is neutral, mostly anyways. Refinery executives said forged bars had also been reported in other countries. It's a handy format because kilobars are small, around the size and thickness of a cell phone. And you think about it, the size and thickness of a cell phone, a kilo bar, that's a lot of value. That's about $50,000. Unlike the roughly 12.5 kilo gold ingots typically stored in the vaults of the world's central banks, kilobars are the most common form of gold in circulation around the world, passing fluidly between banks, refineries, dealers, and individuals. The identifying features stamped into a bar's surface include the logo of the refinery that made it, its purity, weight, and a unique identification number. And as I said, each one is worth about $50,000 at current prices. Now, most of us in this community, we don't have kilo gold bars laying around. It's tough enough getting 1 ounce, much less 32 of them, in 1 bar. 0.15, by the way. In parts of Southeast Asia, it's not uncommon for individuals to use gold instead of cash for big purchases such as real estate, bankers and analysts said. Now that's interesting. It's the only investment tool that goes from institutional investors like banks to the public and back again, said an executive of Swiss refinery. Not here in the United States or in the West, that's for sure. In China, almost all exports of gold are banned as part of the country's strict, long-standing controls on capital movements. That, market analysts say, has spurred demand among well-to-do Chinese who want to send money out of the country to find ways to smuggle it. An estimated 400 to 600 tons of gold are snuck every year across the border from mainland China to Hong Kong in car boots and delivery vans, most of it in kilo bars, said Cameron Alexander, head of the precious metals research at consultants GFMS Refinitiv, which conducts detailed studies of global gold flows. Hong Kong's customs said it had received no complaints in the past decade about kilobars with forged trademarks. Japan has also a long-established problem of gold smuggling in which its forged brands could be put to use, refinery executive says. Swiss brands are not the only ones who have been pirated, but are the most targeted due to their global reach, executive said. Switzerland's four largest refineries, Valcambi, most of us have heard, Pamp, Algor Heraeus, and Metalor, process around 2 to 2,500 tons of gold a year, worth around $100 billion. Their trademarks are among the most common and trusted in the industry. Pamp and Metalor declined to comment on the record. Algor said it was always a risk brands which would be counterfeited and recommended people buy bars only from trusted distributors. For recipients, the pirated bars pose a compliance threat. Anyone who holds such metal, including jewelers, banks, and electronics firms, risk inadvertently violating global rules designed to keep metal of unknown or criminal origin out of circulation. The rules aim to staunch gold supplies that fund conflict, terrorism, or organized crime, damage the environment, and undermine national governments. Governments in America and Europe are legislating to force banks and manufacturers of items such as jewelry and electronics to take more responsibility for their mineral suppliers. For example, a clause in the Dodd-Frank Act adopted by the U.S. obliges U.S. companies to disclose whether gold they use has come from countries in Central Africa where it could have been mined to fund conflict. Richard Hayes, who is the chief executive of the Perth Mint in Australia, one of the world's largest refiners, said his company had not encountered fraudulently branded Perth Mint kilo bars, but given the experience of other refiners, he has no doubt they are circulating. And I'll note, I just recently did an unboxing, and I'll post a video to it in the end screen, of a gold coin that I know specifically where it came from. And there's a security feature I think will help legitimize it. It is the Super Pit gold coin. That particular coin is one of the only coins out there that you know directly from which mine that it had originated. I think that's kind of an interesting and kind of a unique piece to be able to know that your gold came from this one place. And unless they counterfeited that coin and it come from some other origin, you can pretty much make a safe bet that it did come from there. I think that's interesting. Continuing on, it says it's a wonderful way of laundering conflict gold, he said. The gold is genuine, but it's not ethically sourced. They look completely genuine, they assay correctly, and they weigh correctly as well. The perfect appearance makes the bars highly effective because gold is completely fungible. Exactly right, which means you can bleed it into genuine productions. Very, very hard to control. So if you have a way to stamp it, and the stamps look original or maybe were stolen from a refiner, then it makes it a way to do it. And that's one of the attractive natures of gold is the fungibility. JP Morgan supplies gold from major refiners, from many of the world's largest banks, jewelers, and investors, and the discovery of the forged bars in its vaults triggered a full review of the gold it held, market sources said. One said the sweep unearthed around 50 fraudulent branded bars. 50, wow. Another said it found several hundred. JP Morgan did not comment. Now, isn't that a kind of a running statement? You've heard me talk about JP Morgan with regards to manipulation, and JP Morgan is famous for not commenting. People in the industry familiar with the matter said the number of forged bars and their high quality meant for their production must be well organized. An analysis of the bars' movement suggested they had been made in Asia, probably China, they said, but the gold in them could have been melted and remelted after being mined anywhere. That, in the central banker's realm, whether it is done legally or perhaps unethically, is called rehypothecation. JP Morgan responded to its discovery by citing to stop buying any gold in Asia that had not come freshly made from a small clutch of refineries it trusted. 5 people familiar with the decision said. J.P. Morgan again declined to comment. Other banks have also restricted gold purchases in Asia. 15 people in the industry said. Anything that is even the chance of being iffy, they are not going to be involved in, said Alexander, the analyst at JFMS Refinitiv. And this is probably one good reason why most of us who acquire gold get a fractional or 1 ounce size, because it's a lot less likely for that kind of thing to happen. Reuters approached 5 large banks that trade gold in Asia, several of which have vaulting facilities. HSBC declined to comment in detail, but a spokesman said it only bought bars directly from a small group of refiners accredited, like the Swiss, by the London Bullion Market Association. It said it had found no counterfeits. UBS did not comment on the counterfeit bars, but said it only sells gold processed by LBMA accredited refiners. Standard Chartered declined to comment, saying this is not an issue that affects us. ANZ said it buys previously cast bars from a select group of counterparties, and its policy, which had not been changed by the counterfeits, was to remelt and recast them before selling them on. No one from ICBC Standard was available to comment. The number of fake bars being found has dropped since 2017, but refiners say the forgeries are becoming increasingly sophisticated, so the problem may have grown. In 2017, Valcambi's Meserick said hundreds of bars were found stamped with the same identification number. The bars' markings also had spelling errors, flaws in logo images, or print that was too deep or shallow. Today, the forgeries are more precisely made using what appears to be sophisticated machinery, Meserick said. There can still be giveaways such as indentations from a robotic gripper or repeated imperfections in a cast mold, but these are easy to miss. The most reliable way to identify the fakes is to test their purity. Gold is available on the markets in varying levels of purity. For professionally produced kilobars, the most common standard is 4 nines, known in the trade as 4 nines. An analysis of 3 counterfeit traded bars, branded bars by one Swiss refinery shows 2 of them that were 99.98% pure, and the third at 99.9, so 3 nines fine. Though short of legitimate professional standards, even that level of purity is difficult to achieve. It takes advanced equipment to detect. Swiss Customs said that of the 655 bars reported to local prosecutors in Ticino, the purity fell slightly below the 4 nines in some cases. The level of counterfeit is becoming really good. Even for us, it's hard to tell, said a Swiss refinery executive who spoke on a condition of anonymity. There are, however, slightly less pure because the people doing the counterfeits don't have the equipment we have. So now this comes to the culmination of tamper-proof ink and microsurface scans. The refineries are responding to the problem with technology, and that's what they should do. Metalor this year began to put spots of tamper-proof ink on its bars, like the security features on banknotes. These display different features when viewed under certain light or through filters. PAMP and Valcambi perform microsurface scan of the bars and supply machines and phone apps that can scan each one to verify whether the surfaces match the refiner's records. Argor said its bars have various security features but declined to elaborate on the security reasons. Some of us have seen them, and the Argor Heraeus bars that Scottsdale has. Also, they have sort of a holographic look to them. The LBMA, which accredits global refineries to vouch for the quality of their output, is drawing up standards for security features. It has also proposed a global database containing information about every kilobar produced as a way to cross-checking the products to add an extra layer of security. Any security feature can be duplicated that's on the bar itself, said the LBMA's chief executive, Ruth Crowell, but most of the refiner's security features have only been introduced recently, and no database is planned until 2020 at this earliest. So, saying they're becoming very savvy, these counterfeiters out there. Fascinating indeed. Post your thoughts about this. Thanks again to the several members of the community who sent this along to me. It is interesting, and we'll see how it all plays out with and how technology can beat the counterfeiters out there and what can be done about the China problem, that's for sure. Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.